What's up, everybody? Paul Hickey here with your data-driven daily tip. Buckle up because this is going to be a long one. This one is going to walk you all through how to create, ultimately, an Alexa Flash Briefing skill that's easily managed through the Anchor.fm podcasting platform. Now, not only is it easily managed, but you also get this audio published to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and about 10 other platforms. So I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process that's going to require you to create a Gmail account, an Anchor.fm account, an Alexa developer account, and then just be prepared to be creating about 1 to 5 minute snippets of information daily or weekly, audio information on your business, and you're going to be able to either record them directly on the Anchor platform on your mobile app or on your desktop device, and they'll immediately be published to Spotify, Alexa Flash Briefings, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and about 10 other platforms. So buckle up, baby. Here we go. The first thing to do is to create an Anchor account, but in order to create an Anchor account, we're going to need a Gmail account or an email account associated with that. So I use Gmail. So if you're creating this for a client or for someone else, you'll want to create an email account using Gmail. If you can skip this step if you already have an email account. Okay, so we're going to be creating a podcast, an Alexa Flash Briefing for a business called Black Business Boom. And I am going to see if the Gmail account blackbusinessboom@gmail.com is available, and it looks like it might be. So I am going to create their Gmail account. Right now I'm on the screen, accounts.google.com, create your Google account. And the username is taken, so I'm going to try blackbusinessboompodcast@gmail.com and see if this works. So looks like that is available, but I need a stronger password. And that worked. Okay, great. So I'm going to save my password by writing it down here. And now I know what my Gmail account is for this particular business that I'm creating this podcast for. And they're in the United States, although I just need a phone number to verify the account with, so I'm going to go ahead and use my current number here, which is, you can just put your information in the phone number, email address, and birthday field. And that really doesn't matter. It's going to ask you to verify your phone number. And I'm doing that right now. Do not get more from your number. Skip that. You have to agree. This is, again, setting up a Gmail account. You have to agree to the privacy and terms. Okay, so now I've set up a Gmail account, and it is blackbusinessboompodcast@gmail.com. And really the only purpose of that is just so that I can set up an Anchor account. So once that Gmail account is set up, now I'm going to go ahead and create my Anchor account. And we'll be back in the next segment with the creation of the Anchor account. But stay tuned, because today's episode is all about creating an Alexa Flash Briefing for your business or for your personal brand. So I think segment 1 was a little bit boring, but listen to the sponsored reads and then continue on to the next step, which is going to be creating a Anchor account, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it, which is creating an Alexa Flash Briefing. Thanks for listening. Keep listening. All right, welcome to segment 2 here. Thanks for listening to the Data Driven Daily Tip podcast. We are creating an Alexa Flash Briefing. And so the first thing we did was we created a Gmail account. And now the next thing we're going to do is create an Anchor account. And I know you're listening on Anchor, but you might also be listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or any other place. And so even if you might be listening on Anchor, this actually still makes sense to walk you through this because if you're a small business owner or marketer of any kind, or you're building your own personal brand, you're going to want to learn how to do this. So I've gone to anchor.fm and I'm going to click sign up. And I'm going to put in my full name. In this case, I'm doing it for Black Business Boom. And the email account I'm using, this is why I did this in the last step, is blackbusinessboompodcast@gmail.com. And we all know my password now. So I'm logging in with my password, doing the Google reCAPTCHA, which is always a little bit annoying, but hopefully it'll verify that I'm a human being. And I can sign up. Okay, and here it says, welcome to Anchor. Make your first episode. So it's very, very straightforward to use Anchor. It's going to walk you through the process. I'm going to click Let's Do It. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to the audio files that the Black Business Boom sent me, and I'm going to download all of those. And so these are just literally less than 30-second audio clips that promote Black-owned businesses in the Nashville, Tennessee area. So I'm going to download all of these. And I'm just going to take, just for this purpose, the first 2. And I'm going to create an episode out of each of the first 2. So I'm creating my first episode. I'm going to upload this first one, Surreal Spice. This is promoting a Black-owned business in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm just going to name the clip. I'm going to rename the clip Surreal Spice Black Business Boom. And really, that's all I need to do the first episode. So I'm going to save the episode. I'm going to name the episode Black Business Boom Feature Surreal Spice. And I'm going to say episode description featured information on Surreal Spice, a Black-owned business in Nashville, Tennessee. And it allows you to put a season number and episode number. This is season number 1, episode number 1. And it allows you to upload episode art. And so you'll see in a minute when we set the channel settings or the podcast settings that you don't have to upload episode art for each episode. You can actually just use the default podcast art. But because the first step in Anchor is selecting, creating your first podcast episode before you do your channel settings, I'm going to go to blackbusinessboom.com, which is who I'm doing this for. And I'm just going to grab their logo. I'm going to take a screenshot of their logo, rather, in this case, which is a cool looking logo. Shout out to Danielle McGee. And I'm going to name it Black Business Boom. I'm going to click Upload New Episode Art, and I'm going to select the Black Business Boom logo, and click Save, and you hear Alexa in the background. Alexa, stop. I'm not sure why she went off. Probably because I said Alexa Flash Briefing a long time ago, and she was waiting for me to say something that she recognized. Anyway, customize this episode. Black Business Boom logo looks good in here. And if I do, it's fine to do publish date now. You can publish all of these at one time. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do publish now. And then what it's going to do on Anchor is, okay, now the next step is finish setting up your podcast. So I'm going to call it Black Business Boom. Podcast name, Black Business Boom. Podcast description, I'm actually going to blackbusinessboom.com, and I'm just going to copy and paste the description. Black Business Boom is a movement dedicated to driving customers and revenue to small, Black-owned businesses by offering coupons on our web-based platform. So I'm going to paste that into the podcast description. And then I'm going to add this podcast features businesses. And then podcast category should be businesses or business news. I'm going to just say business. The language is English. Then I click continue. Now choose your cover art. You'll need an image. I'm going to do, actually Anchor's pretty cool. You can search for a photo, upload an image, or choose one for me. So if you're not like an artist or you don't have a logo, you could actually give it a preloaded stock image that Anchor allows you to use. And actually, there's kind of an artwork builder in here, which is kind of cool. But we're going to just select our logo, Black Business Boom. See, it allows you to apply text to your logo, so you can actually build your own logo in the Anchor platform. I'm going to turn off apply text because we don't need it. We have our logo. But just for those of you listening on the podcast, like, there's this cool artwork builder. You can just put like a stock image from Anchor and then type over the name of your podcast on it, change the font, change the color and everything like that, and then click update cover art. And now all of a sudden you've got your podcast set up. And now it says, we're submitting your podcast. This will make your podcast available on all major platforms, including Apple Podcasts. We'll let you know as soon as it gets approved on each platform. And I'm going to click Great, thanks, because I don't want to do it myself. That's the whole point of using Anchor. So now we have our first episode, and its episode has one segment, Surreal Spice, featuring Surreal Spice. Black Business Boom features Surreal Spice is the name of it. And it's featured information on Surreal Spice, a Black-owned business in Nashville, Tennessee. Now we can edit this. So when I pass this over to Danielle, she can go in here and she can edit this. And she can go to her dashboard and see all of her podcasts. First podcast episode published. Your podcast is set up. We're distributing your podcast. There's all sorts of other stuff you can do. You can set up monetization, which gives you the ability to have Anchor send you sponsor reads. And then, of course, the getting listeners is basically just like tips from Anchor on how to interact with the Anchor community of listeners and get listeners. But it gives you embed code for your podcast. It gives each episode its own URL, so you can share it. And then it allows you to obviously have a Facebook and Twitter share feature. Now, if you click the button that says View Public Site, this is a URL that is the URL for your entire podcast. And so the URL for this podcast is, by default, anchor.fm/black-business-boom. And what's cool about it on the Anchor platform is you can actually, if you're listening on Anchor at that URL, or on the Anchor app, you can click the send voice message button, and you can send the publisher of the podcast a voice message that the publisher can decide to add into an episode. So it's like a way of asking a question as part of the episode, which is super cool. So what we've done so far already is we've just created a Gmail account, blackbusinessboompodcast@gmail.com, for the purpose of creating an Anchor account. And then we've taken an MP3 file that was pre-recorded, and we've uploaded it to create an episode. And we've published the podcast by adding a name, description, and a logo to our podcast. And next, I'm going to see if I can change the URL of the podcast itself, and I can, to just be anchor.fm/blackbusinessboom. And I can actually add my website here, https:/blackbusinessboom. That gives .com. That gives Danielle and her business another link to her website online, which you want to do. And then I'm going to click the long blue purplish save button, and now we've got our new URL, and it's anchor.fm/blackbusinessboom, all one word, which is easier than saying all the dashes. And all of a sudden, it's available on Spotify. So it's already available on Spotify just in this short period of time that you've been listening to this podcast. The Black Business Boom podcast is already available on Spotify. And in the Gmail account that I set up for it, there's a message from Team Anchor that says, hey there, we're submitting your podcast to additional podcast platforms. And boom, we're up and running with the Black Business Boom podcast. So the other thing I'm going to show you how to do is kind of more of an overview of the episode builder. So you can always click new episode, and you can actually and this is what I'm doing right now actually, I'm just recording right in the episode builder on Anchor. And so you can do that. And at the upcoming Nashville Voice Conference on July 31st in Nashville, Tennessee, the Data-Driven Design team is going to be doing this exact exercise with small business owners that attend the Voice Conference. And they're going to be recording just a demo podcast and publishing their podcast. And then the next step in the next segment, so listen to the sponsored read after this, my friends. And then the next segment, we're going to complete the goal of turning this podcast into an Alexa Flash Briefing. Stay tuned. So earlier I mentioned sponsored segments, and you can see in my podcast here, we've got sponsored segments set up. So I've got sponsored reads that it's me reading from a sponsor, and I'm able to actually use the episode builder to put those sponsored segments in between my other segments. So I've got step 1, create a Gmail account. Step 2, create an anchor.fm account. And I'm having a little bit of trouble dragging with the drag and drop functionality of this, but let me remove my sponsored segment. I'm going to remove my sponsored segment, drag step 1 above step 2. Can't seem to do that. Okay, there we go. Step 1 is now above step 2, and I can put my sponsored segment in between. There we go. That's what I want. So we got step 1. Step 1, sponsored segment, step 2. Okay. So now we're into segment 3, and this segment is going to be turning this podcast into an Alexa Flash Briefing. So the first thing we're going to do is, Alexa, stop. Sorry. the first thing we're going to do is go to our podcast settings. So you're going to go back over to anchor.fm. You're going to log into your new anchor.fm account and click on dashboard. And then on the upper right-hand corner, you should be logged in and you should see the word settings. You're going to click on the drop-down arrow and then click update settings. And when you click update settings, you're going to scroll down to the bottom and you're going to go right above the purplish blue save button is a link that says advanced. You're going to click that link and it's going to drop down and it says RSS feed. And so you're going to need this RSS feed. So keep that window open. And then in another window, you're going to go to a URL, developer.amazon.com/Alexa, okay? And you're going to create an Amazon developer account. And if you don't have an Amazon developer account, it's free. So what you could do is you could take that Gmail account that you created, or in this case, I'm going to sign in with my free Amazon developer account, which is at paul@datadriven.design. I'm going to sign in. So it takes me to my developer.amazon.com/dashboard, and then I'm going to go to my Alexa Skills Kit, which takes me to developer.amazon.com/Alexa/console/ask. And I'm actually going to real quick stand up and hit the mute button on my Alexa device so she doesn't keep interrupting this podcast. I apologize for that. But now I'm in my Alexa Skills, and there's a button that you'll see that's a blue button, and it should just say Create Skill. So you're going to click Create Skill. And so I'm going to create a new Alexa skill, and I'm going to name it Black Business Boom Featured Businesses. And we can change that name later if we want to. We could call it Featured Black-Owned Businesses or Black-Owned Businesses, something like that. But we're going to call it right now for Danielle, Black Business Boom Featured Businesses. And instead of a custom Alexa skill, we're going to actually select Flash Briefing. So we're selecting Flash Briefing, and then we're going to click the blue Create Skill button. This is kind of the fun part. Custom error message is just something like, sorry, Black Business Boom isn't in right now. We will be back soon. And you can play that. And I'm not sure if you could hear that on the podcast, but it was just Alexa's voice saying what I just said, what I typed in. Sorry, Black Business Boom isn't in right now. We'll be back soon. And then you're going to click the little button below that says Add New Feed. So you click Add New Feed, and you are going to put the preamble in, which for mine is from Data Driven Design, your Data Driven Daily Tip. And what I'm going to call this is, I'm going to say from Black Business Boom, your featured Black-owned business. Your featured Black-owned business for the day. That can't be that many characters. Your featured Black-owned business. Okay. And then the name, we're just going to have the same. We're going to name our feed Black Business Boom. Okay, and then content update frequency. Daily is recommended for this, so we're going to choose from hourly, daily, weekly. We're going to choose daily. Unless you're like a news outlet, like if you're a legitimate news outlet, like we have a client, musicrow.com. I mean, they should, in my opinion, they should have an Alexa Flash Briefing and a podcast, and they should basically be reading their announcements off. And they have 50 potential news articles per day that they post, and they should just read them, and then theirs should be hourly. But for Data-Driven Daily Tip and for Black Business Boom, definitely daily is fine. Content type is audio. Genre, we're going to select business. And then feed, this is where you need, we need to go back over to your podcast Anchor, your Anchor podcast RSS feed, which again you get by going to settings and then edit settings, settings and then update settings, and then scroll down to the bottom and copy the URL of your RSS feed and paste it into this feed section. And then it says drop your feed icon here, and this needs to be a logo, 512 by 512 pixel PNG or JPEG. So I like to use Canva, and I'm going to go into Canva just to make sure. Go to canva.com, and I'm going to create a design. And I'm going to do custom dimensions 512 by 512 because Alexa has booted me out of here if it's not exactly 512 by 512. So I don't want to lose my previous work, right? So I got a 512 by 512 template in here, and I'm just going to add the Black Business Boom logo into Canva. And there it is, and I'm going to put it into my 512 by 512 template. Center it, make sure it looks good, and then I'm going to download the 512 by 512 logo, and I'm going to upload that into my feed icon. Drop your feed icon here. So now we have the Black Business Boom icon that's going to be added basically to a Alexa little flash brief, or Alexa skill bubble is basically what it looks like. So I click add. And now we've got the custom error message. Sorry, Black Business Boom isn't in right now. We'll be back soon. I'm going to click save. So now we've saved our Alexa Flash briefing. And we are pretty much all set. And now the next step is going to be basically to test it and distribute it. So I'll be back in the next segment to walk you through that. Keep listening to the Data-Driven Daily Tip podcast. Today's how-to is how to create, step-by-step, an Alexa Flash briefing for your business. Keep listening. All right, welcome to step 4. This should be our final segment of this special edition of the Data-Driven Daily Tip podcast. Now that we have created a Gmail account, used that Gmail account to create an Anchor podcast in our first episode. Now our episode has been submitted to several places. It's available on Spotify. It's going to be available on Apple Music. It's available on Anchor. It's going to be available on Google Podcasts and about 10 other platforms, just thanks to Anchor. We have also gone in, we've found our Anchor RSS feed, and we've gone to the developer.amazon.com/Alexa/console, created an Amazon Alexa free account, and we have started to build our own Alexa Flash Briefing skill by naming it, giving it an icon, giving it a feed name, a business category, and then we have also submitted our RSS feed. So now the next step is going to be to essentially test and distribute our skill. So we're going to go to test and distribution. So for test, you have to click, let's see, skill testing is enabled. I wonder if skill testing is just off for Flash Briefing skills. So let's just go directly to distribution. So distribution is where you have to basically do kind of the same thing that you did with Anchor, but you have to kind of fill out a few more form fields here. So we've got a public name that the Alexa Developer Console is going to make you fill out, and we have Black Business Boom featured businesses, a one-sentence description. So what we're going to do, just to make our lives a little bit easier, is to just copy and paste the same information that we already put into Anchor into our one-sentence description here. And this should work out perfectly, actually. And then the example phrases are simple. There's nothing we can really do there. The way that people are going to access this is they're going to say, Alexa, what's my flash briefing? Or Alexa, what's in the news? And so we've got a large icon for our skill already that we've already uploaded, so we're going to re-upload that. And that's what our, it puts it into the little Alexa skill bubble icon, which looks pretty cool. And then we're just going to resize. Let's see, we need to have a small version. So the small version is 108 by 108. We're just going to try to use the same one. We should be okay there. We're going to upload the same one for the 108 by 108, and it looks good. Then we're going to do our category again. So we're going to categorize our skill under business and finance, because again, this is highlighting Black-owned businesses in Nashville. And then we're going to say Black keywords, Black-owned businesses. Nashville, Tennessee. Businesses. And you can put up to 30 keywords in here. It requires that you have a privacy policy URL. So what we're going to do is we may need to have Danielle create one, but we're just going to put blackbusinessboom.com in here for right now for the privacy policy URL, as well as for the terms of use URL. And then we have filled out our distribution settings, basically, which is a public name, one sentence description, detailed description, a what's new. Example phrases are default for us. We got to upload our skill icon, which is just our Black Business Boom logo. Category, business and finance. Keywords, we've put in Black-owned businesses and Nashville, Tennessee businesses. Privacy policy URL, which just happens to be blackbusinessboom.com. And then we click submit, and it takes us to the privacy and compliance page on the Alexa Developer Console. And the first question is, does this skill allow users to make purchases and spend real money? The answer is no. Does this Alexa skill collect users' personal information? The answer is no. Is this skill directed to, or does it target children under the age of 13? The answer is no. Does this skill contain advertising? The answer is no. Export compliance. I certify this Alexa skill may be imported to and exported from the United States and all other countries and regions in which we operate our program or in which you've authorized sales to end users. Blah, 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 blah. Testing instructions. Please detail any special instructions our team will need in order to test your skill. I'm just going to say I'm going to say add black business boom featured businesses skill flash briefing skill, and say, Alexa, what's my flash briefing? Okay. Save and continue. Okay, now it says availability. Put your skill into customers' hands. And again, we're on the developer console for Alexa. Who should have access to this skill? Definitely the public. And what's cool about this actually is it says Alexa for business organizations, which is the second option. We're not going to select that option, but we will have content at the Nashville Voice Conference on Alexa for Business. And I have other podcasts on Alexa for Business, but Alexa for Business is a cool feature. It's basically where you can just give access to Alexa skills. If you want to make an Alexa skill that you can only have employees of your company access, you would select Alexa for business organizations, which is sweet. But we're going to select public because we want Danielle's skill to be available to everyone in the public. And we're going to select in all countries and regions where Amazon distributes skills. Save and continue. And we got a validation message. This is positive. It says 0 errors found. That basically means we successfully submitted all of those form fields that Alexa Developer Console wanted us to submit, as well as the fact that our Anchor RSS feed worked, and 0 errors found. So that's perfect. So it's been validated. We're going to click the Run button again, 0 errors found. And then over on the left-hand side, this is important. Don't forget this step. Under Validation, on the left-hand side of the Alexa Developer Console, click Functional Test, and then click Run, and it'll say just a moment while we run the automated error checks. This may take a few minutes. You can navigate away from this page and check back later to view the results. Hopefully it won't take that long. And then we're going to, after Functional Test, you have to click Submission. And when you click Submission, that is where you're going to get a confirmation message that your skill has been submitted to the Alexa Skill Store. Okay, great. We got our 0 errors found while I was talking on our functional test. Now we're going to click Submission, and it says your skill is ready for submission. Once your skill is submitted, we'll run one last functional test. Skill status, in development. Last submitted, not yet submitted. So this is it right here, folks. The moment of truth. There's a blue button up on the right-hand side of the page. Submit for review. I'm clicking it. And it says just a moment. And it says, it takes us back to our home page of our Alexa Skills Kit Developer Console. And it says, Black Business Boom featured businesses has been submitted. If your skill passes all preliminary checks, it will automatically be queued up for review. If there are any issues processing your skill, we will notify you via email, or you can check the results at certification in a few minutes. Black Business Boom featured businesses is in my Alexa skills, and it says in review as the status. And we will get an email from Alexa Skills Kit telling us the status of this, and when it's published, we will be able to go into the Alexa app. We will be able to, once you're in the Alexa app, you'll be able to go to, one moment, the hamburger menu up in the top left-hand side of your Alexa app on your phone. You'll be able to go to Settings. Under Settings, there's a section that says Alexa Preferences. You'll see Communication, Music, TV and Video, and Flash Briefing. This is where you set the settings of your Flash Briefing. And there's a button in there that says Add Content. You can click Add Content. And then in the Add Content, there's a magnify. It says Flash Briefings, and there's actually 9,220 Flash Briefings, which is not that many if you think about it. There's like millions of apps in the Apple Store. There's less than 10,000 flash briefings. You should get one now for your business. And then there's a magnifying glass up in the top right-hand corner. You're going to tap that magnifying glass, and after your skill has been submitted, you'll search keyword or skill name, and in this case for Danielle's skill, Black Business Boom, we'll type in Black Business Boom and we'll search it. It'll show up, we'll click Enable, and once it's enabled, we'll see it in our Flash Briefing settings in our Alexa app. Once it's enabled in our Flash Briefing settings, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you're in the Alexa app, all you'll need to do whenever you want is turn on your Alexa, your Echo or your Alexa enabled device, your Echo Dot, whatever, and say, Alexa, play my Flash Briefing, or Alexa, what's in the news? And you'll hear your newly published Flash Briefing. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. This was segment 4, and the first segment was create a Gmail account. The second segment was create an Anchor.fm account and create an episode and publish your podcast. The third segment was create an Amazon Alexa developer account and submit your RSS feed as a Flash Briefing skill. And the fourth segment has actually been test, validate, and submit to the Alexa Skills Store. This is Paul Hickey. This has been your data-driven daily tip, probably the longest one ever. Thanks and have a great day. But the most valuable one ever. Have a great day. Do you agree that that was the most valuable one ever? I think so. For more free digital marketing tips, go to dataoveropinions.com. And don't forget to check out our Alexa Flash Briefing at datadrivendaily.com. Thanks and have a great day.